Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
Song? Yes, it is.
Okay, it's
Why are you laughing?
long. Yes, it's just the way
Oh,
you
I
said
wasn't
it.
even talking about. Oh, are we recording?
Yes.
Is that why you're laughing? No, I was
Yes.
talking about my phone.
Okay.
Welcome to Friday, everyone. This is very exciting, as Jim would say. So we have had, you all will hear in at least for a month or so, probably, you'll hear the outtakes of some failed attempts to record a Fun Friday segment, and we're still trying to,
We're experimenting.
This
This is good, though.
But I think this will be a good one. So welcome to Friday and to our new segment, which is This Week in History.
Yes, I love this. I love
And
it.
if anyone wants to make us a jingle for that, we'll take it. Do whatever you want with it. This Week in History.
Okay, no need for the jingle. We have it now.
You're right. Oh, I thought you just meant because it was so bad.
No,
I'm like,
no.
Nope, we definitely don't need the
yeah,
jingle.
yeah. Cut the
Yeah,
jingle.
That was rough because when I started
that was
singing
pretty
it,
good.
I felt like it was going to sound like what I did last time.
Mhm.
What I do with.
Mhm.
Wait, what was that? The Airing of Grief? Was that the Airing of Grief?
I don't
Which
remember.
we
It
still
was
don't
good,
have
though.
a jingle for. Well, that's all
It was
right.
good.
So what we will be doing, this is not going to be every Friday. This is going to be, I don't know, whenever we feel like it.
I like the idea of doing it every Friday because here's the thing.
Well, yeah, but we have other things for Fridays, other ideas in mind.
I know, but then are we just going to skip some of those weeks if there's nothing interesting that happened that week?
Well,
Every
no,
week,
we can do it. It's just I don't want them to get excited thinking, okay, like if it's
Assuming-
good, that it's
okay.
going to be every Friday.
Well, maybe then what we'll do is maybe every Friday as part, even if we have something different, we'll just quickly highlight
Yeah, we
men
could do
and major
one or
events.
two things.
But anyway,
There
okay,
will
so let's
still
go.
be airings of grievances, and then we have another segment that we're
Obviously.
working on. That's what I'm saying. The other segment
Okay.
that we're still anyway. Don't ask what it is, anybody. We're not telling you. We're not giving
Okay.
away anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. So this week in history. Well, actually, though, this doesn't work because I don't know what yours is now.
Well,
Okay.
no, I have one of the reasons when I was looking at different things, I sort of kept my options open was because I thought, oh, this is cool. But what if this is what Samantha has as her item for this week?
Well, here are, because that's what at first I was going to go over just a few things that I saw from when I looked up a week in history, some random things. This week in history was packed with random things. For example, this week in 1863, Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address.
Wow, I didn't
Whoa.
know that.
Okay. Apollo 12 lands on the moon. Maybe, if that actually happened.
It happened.
NBA's Malice at the Palace. I don't know what that is. Over 900 die at Jonestown. Mickey Mouse cartoon debuts. Exonerations in the Malcolm X killing. Nixon tells AP I'm not a crook. Schwarzenegger was sworn in as governor. There's a lot of fun stuff. And I feel like as
Governor
we do
of
this,
California.
yes, as we do this, I think there are a lot of fun things like this that we're not
Yeah.
going to realize were, around this time. Okay. So you want me to go first? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So and going forward in this segment, I am going to, not always, but most of the time, try to choose events or incidences or whatever that I don't really know anything about so that I'm learning along with all of you, because I'm assuming if I don't know these things, no, I'm
Right.
just kidding. Anyway, so my event for this week is going to be the Czech Velvet Revolution. What do you know about this? And here's what else we're going to do for this fun little segment. Whenever, like you obviously said you didn't pick a specific event. When I pick a specific event, part of this will be me asking Jim, what is it? And he either knows and he can give me a brief summary, or he doesn't
Okay.
know, and here we go.
Okay, repeat this again for anyone who
It
didn't
is
hear
the
it.
Czech Velvet Revolution.
Now, believe it or not, okay, you have happened to pick something that
That
I
you do
know
know.
quite a bit about.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly, yes.
Okay, well then it looks like the
Yes.
humor will come from my end, which is when I first saw this,
Yes.
I thought to myself, okay, I don't know anything about this, but if I had to guess on the spot, it would be when the plebeians took over the city, and velvet was a color that was meant for the royalty, and so they burned all of their their clothes that were velvet.
No,
I know
no.
that's not what it
It
is
was-
because I read it now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just give a brief because
Really
I'm gonna
quickly.
read
No,
too.
prior to that, what was the date again?
I didn't say the date.
Oh, I thought you said that.
1989.
Okay. Prior to 1989, when you would order, keep in mind, people used to pay for things either with cash or checks. You could not get them in velvet. You could get them in green, yellow, blue. There was an uprising because people were angry that they.
You got me. You really got me.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't know what this is?
No, I have no idea what this is. Clearly, I didn't even know.
No.
I didn't even know. When you said check, I assumed
Oh, you thought
CHECK.
Czech. Oh, I see. Maybe that's what everybody thought.
Oh,
I'm talking about Czechoslovakia, the
Okay.
country, now known as the Czech Republic. Anyway,
okay.
but I kind of thought that maybe you would because this was because this was
my
around.
lifetime.
No, but it was the Berlin Wall. It was like the week after the Berlin Wall fell, and so I didn't know if you had.
There's a possibility, but I never remember hearing about this.
Okay, so basically what happened, like a week and a half after the fall of the Berlin Wall, students gathered in Prague to protest the communist regime. And the demonstration sets off what will become known as the Velvet Revolution, which is the nonviolent toppling of the Czechoslovak government and one of a series of anti-communist revolutions that marked the late 1980s and early 90s.
Yeah. Okay. So now, in general, I do remember that, right?
Yes.
I remember after the quote unquote fall of the Berlin Wall, because just to be clear, it did not just fall down on its own.
Yes.
Which, if you hear the fall of the Berlin Wall, some people might not understand
think,
that.
okay.
But
well,
no, I remember after that happened, it sort of set off like a domino effect,
Mhm.
where a bunch of different countries. That's basically what happened.
Yeah. And so protesters, this was November 17th, that the beginning of it happened. Protesters chose the date because it was International Students' Day, the 50th anniversary of a Nazi attack on the University of Prague that killed 9 and saw 1,200 students sent to concentration camps. So I'm going to skip over some of this because I don't want this episode to be too long, and I want you to have time too. Students had anti-government slogans. They packed the streets in Prague and some other places where they were met with violence from the police. Officially, there were no deaths. Despite the police repression, protests spread to other cities and grew exponentially. Theater workers went on strike, converting their stages to forums for public discussion, which I think that would be a great idea to do that now. Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
And the protests grew to include citizens from all walks of life. On November 20th, 500,000 protesters demonstrated in Prague's some square. I can't pronounce that. And then within a few days, so this actually, when I looked this up, so it started on November 17th, but it actually lasted just in the Czech Republic like a week and a half. So it was actually, well, it lasted longer than that. It was through like December something, but most of it happened throughout the whole week. So it's
Right.
funny that I picked something that was actually a week. And then within a few days of the initial protest, the writing was on the wall for the one-party rule in Czechoslovakia. And obviously, we all know what happened there. And so just a couple of fun facts about this. The term Velvet Revolution was coined by Rita Klimova, the dissident's English translator, who later became the ambassador to the United States. The term was used internationally to describe the revolution, although the Czechs also used the term. Theorists of revolutions, however, have argued that the Velvet Revolution was not in fact a true revolution because a revolution by definition accomplishes change by means of illegitimate violence. And so since this was a peaceful demonstration wholly, they didn't do anything. They literally they went on strike and protested and stuff. People are saying, could it actually be categorized
Well, it's kind of like
as a
civil
revolution?
disobedience, but
Right.
it wasn't.
But velvet,
Yeah.
the velvet civil disobedience doesn't really sound as
Right,
good as the Velvet
right.
Revolution.
Right.
And then the last fun fact about this, one element of the demonstrations of the Velvet Revolution was the jingling of keys to signify support. The practice had a double meaning. It symbolized the unlocking of doors and was the demonstrators' way of telling the communists, goodbye, it's time to go home.
That's cool.
Yeah, right?
The funny thing is, like I said, there was kind of like a domino effect after
Yeah.
the fall of the Berlin Wall. And it just goes to show you the number of people where you can have a huge number of people that are kind of like ready to revolt, quote unquote.
Yep.
Or at least be dissident.
Yep.
And they just need that sort of like a spark to be like, we're going.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are a lot more people like that than the people that are actually the ones that are the spark, because they're the ones that are taking the risk.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, like the guy in China, Tiananmen Square, you know, standing in front of a tank.
Yep.
Like, so anyway, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now you all, or you know, listeners, if you did know that, can you tell us any other fun facts you know about that? Or if you
did
didn't,
you know about it?
Now you know.
Yeah.
You know, fun little fact.
Yeah.
All right. Are you up?
Well, yeah. So here's what I did, and some of the facts I'll kind of add a little bit to a few of the facts that you mentioned already. One, the Apollo 12 landing on the moon
Was fake.
No, it wasn't fake, but it was not the first moon landing. That was the second moon landing, right? Because the first one was Apollo 11, which was earlier in the same year, which is pretty incredible when you think about it, because, you know, at that time, and I mean, even now, this is the case still, depending on the company, right? Since private companies handle spaceflight, none of the rocket was reusable. So Apollo 11, which was a huge rocket, right? Like, you're talking billions of dollars.
Billions.
Completely, you know, once that was used, it was used. None of the parts were reusable, right? So
And
the same
now
thing
they
at Apollo
are.
11, Apollo 12. But that was the first thing. So that's as far as that goes.
Wait, but the whole point of this is you're supposed to tell me what it is. So, like, your topic is so I can tell you what I think it is.
I have different little topics. That's what I'm telling you.
See, this isn't a good segment now.
Hold on. So the other thing that was interesting, I said I'm going to start by talking about a few of the things that you said. The first Disney cartoon,
Oh, yeah.
right? Which most people know what that was. So I'll ask you first. You obviously know what it was.
The first completely animated Disney cartoon?
Yes.
Steamboat Willie?
Correct.
But then they also had, before that, they had the Alice cartoons.
Well, they had that,
and
and also they had the one with the dancing skeletons, right? But that was the first. Okay, so Steamboat Willie was the first Disney cartoon with the voice, the audio track synced up with the video.
Yeah.
So the movie that appeared before is, and I don't remember it even off the top of my head. I have it here somewhere, but it's completely unknown. No one cares about that anymore, right? Yeah, no one cares about that movie. I have it here somewhere, but anyway, it was Gang War. It was called. All right. What happened was, Walt Disney, after he saw the movie The Jazz Singer, which was the first, regular film with the synced audio. So that was a brand new technology, right? He became interested in it. That's why he wanted to create Steamboat Willie. But imagine when people went into a theater, okay, the first time they saw this, like literal amazement, like when right now, now everyone is so used to this.
Yeah.
But at that time, you would watch like a cartoon maybe or a movie, and all it had was some music soundtrack playing because prior to that, they couldn't sync it up.
Yeah.
So it created.
Right. And it just had like the title or the captions on the bottom.
Right. And it had, right. So that created for those people a magical experience. So when you talk about the magic of Disney, that's where it started. So the whole quote unquote magical world of Disney and all, that was literally the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
And now look where Disney is today. We should have a future episode where we talk about Disney movies and the downfall they've taken.
Yep.
What else you got?
Hold on. There was one. Actually, Toy Story was released this week.
Oh.
Which I didn't know that. I thought that was interesting. Directed by John Lasseter, starring obviously Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. That was released this week, which I thought that was really interesting. This week on November 20, and that was November 22nd, 1995. November 22nd, 2018, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was, the tilt was reduced by 4 centimeters.
What?
4 centimeters, yeah.
Wait, why?
after a 20-year project to stabilize it. Well, to keep it from falling over,
Oh.
literally.
I didn't
But it
even
was a
think of that.
20-year project, and it reduced the tilt by 4
But
centimeters.
that matters a lot if
Think
you're
about
an
it.
architect.
That's less than 2 inches.
I know. So wait though, do they have to do that? Are they going to have to do that every so often to ensure that it doesn't,
That's a good question.
or is that just like a one-time thing that it was off?
I don't think the intention is to what?
Go ahead. Sorry.
What? Go ahead.
Why is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, why is it on a tilt?
Well, because there's an issue with the foundation when it was first built, obviously.
Well, yeah, but
So-
so what happened? How did it get its lean? I don't even know this.
Well, because there was an issue with the foundation. That's what I'm saying. It
Was it
didn't
made
have
of-
a good foundation.
Was it made of pie?
It's yes, the foundation with
Wait,
made of
no,
pie,
so
just
what-
like Burger King.
But I don't understand. I need you to explain this to me or I'll look it up myself right now. There was an issue with the foundation. So
Right.
was it
So-
was a building, it was correct, but then it
Yeah.
shifted because there was
Yes,
something wrong with the
because there
foundation.
wasn't a good
So was-
foundation.
okay,
So
no,
just
no.
over time, it started to.
So we need to stop here though, because I'm thinking about a random building.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's this, building that is a normal building.
Mhm.
One day, all of a sudden, it just starts shifting a little bit.
And you don't notice it at first.
Well, eventually though, you notice it and you're like, oh my God, oh my God,
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah, what are we
and then
gonna
it
do?
stops and you're like, oh, it's fine. We'll just
Yeah.
leave it.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Well, no,
What happened?
I'm not sure. I did not look into more details on this for this one specific fact because it's
Please
honestly,
hold.
it's not as interesting to me as it is to you, apparently.
It's just because I never thought about it
it's-
before.
Yeah. I don't know if over time, in the past, if they've also done this, but obviously they didn't now because they were concerned about the tower literally toppling over. And the fact that it took 20 years to adjust it by only 4 centimeters tells you a lot. Obviously, they were concerned maybe about damaging it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one. In 1943, I've never heard this before, and I happened to come across this kind of randomly. In 1943, Philadelphia Phillies owner William D. Cox was permanently banned from baseball for having bet on his own team.
Wow. I hate that that's the Phillies.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, okay, so there's obviously a precedent for
Mm-hmm.
the Pete Rose
Mm-hmm.
being banned from baseball.
Yep.
So I guess you have to at least respect that.
And Shohei Ohtani's translator.
What?
Shohei
about his-
Ohtani's
Oh,
translator.
he was banned from baseball too?
Well, not Shohei Ohtani. His translator was.
For
I-
betting
look,
on? That's
yeah.
weird.
I know, it's a whole thing, and
He's-
people are
oh,
like,
see,
he
I've
only got
never-
away with this, and it was actually Shohei and all this stuff. Wait, can I really quickly back up to the Leaning Tower of Pisa?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so you are correct. It leans because the ground beneath its base is unstable and settled unevenly. Do you know why it did that, though? I'm going to
No.
tell you. So, the tower's foundations are only 3 meters deep and sit on soft alluvial soil.
Right.
Construction began in 1173 and the tower started leaning 5 years later when it reached the 3rd floor. But this is partially caused due to the fact that construction was interrupted for almost 100 years due to war with the nearby city-state of Genoa. So this delay allowed the foundation to settle enough to support the tower's weight.
Wow.
I never knew that. I don't know why. I never actually cared
Wow.
enough to look this up. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
And
It
then
is.
later, engineers built the upper floors with one side shorter than the other to compensate for the
Yeah,
tilt, making the tower curved as well as leaning.
That's funny. That's really
The
that is
more you
interesting.
know. What else you got?
Okay. November 19th, 1979, Chuck Berry was sentenced to prison on tax evasion charges.
That's super exciting.
I know it is. It's like I just have one more because I thought this was very interesting.
I can't get over
Okay.
the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is fascinating to me.
Okay, so this year is the 90th anniversary on November 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Congressional testimony
Er.
about plans for a fascist takeover of the United States. I've never heard of this, and I thought it was interesting. Testimony came from retired Marine Corps General and war hero Smedley Butler.
Good old Smedley.
I'm right there. It's like, am I going to trust this guy? But
No.
anyway, who told a House investigating committee that he had been recruited to lead hundreds of thousands of military veterans to take over the government by surrounding the Capitol and the White House. Smedley said that he had soured on the idea, but before doing so, he had learned the coup was being planned and bankrolled by some of the richest men in the U.S., including
word.
J.P. Morgan and Robert Sterling Clark. Okay? At the time he made his charges, the U.S. was in the depths of the Great Depression. Wall Street was furious with the Roosevelt administration for having abandoned the federal government's adherence to the gold standard.
Mhm. We love the gold
Right?
standard.
I would have been angry too. I might have been fighting alongside him, thereby putting the value of U.S. dollars at risk, right?
Yeah.
So think about it. If you have a lot of assets or a lot of money, you would be frustrated at that
You would
point.
be.
I basically put all my wealth in the dollar, right? In the stability of the dollar. And now you're making this change, which basically is going to allow you to print money. Yeah.
And if anyone were going to mess with your money, you should for sure just kill all of them.
Yeah. Of course you would, right?
That's the natural
And millions of
reaction.
military veterans were enraged because the Roosevelt administration was making plans to drastically cut their pensions in a desperate effort to balance the federal budget. Okay. At that time, they worried about the federal budget. Well, and here's the thing. At that time, they had to.
The federal budget, what's that?
Well,
because it
they
was,
couldn't just print dollars.
No, they could
right?
not.
So that was an issue at that time. Anyway, of course, the coup attempt never took place. The rich and famous men Smedley named all denied everything, and no official with the power to subpoena records or compel testimony ever made a serious attempt to get to the bottom of his charges. The committee that heard Smedley's charges was satisfied to eventually declare there is no question that these coup attempts were discussed, were planned, and might have been placed in execution when and if the financial backers deemed it expedient, and to leave it at that. So they basically said, this sounds like feasible, but it never happened. So it sounds like there definitely were plans being made, at least talks taking place behind the scenes, but it never happened.
That's crazy.
I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, that was my main thing at the end. But I like
that's why
some of
you
the
led
others.
up to it?
Yeah. You got to save the best one
I
for
was
last.
still thinking about the Tower of Pisa.
Yeah. the leaning pizza.
I guess that's it for this week.
Yep. Thank God, though, the tower didn't go down.
Thank God
You know,
we
the,
didn't
like,
have a
We'd be
revolution in the
talking
country.
about, instead of the fall of the Berlin Wall, the fall of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
I know.
The falling Tower of Pisa.
I just don't understand why everybody was so calm about it and why they still are today.
Well, I don't know if calm is the way to put it, because they let it stand there for 100 years. And we'll finish this later. And then, it's been there. I mean, imagine if you went there to get a picture with it and you stood on the side where it was leaning toward, and then it decided to come
That
down.
would be awful.
I feel like someday there will be a picture, and it'll become one of those iconic pictures, like the Hindenburg coming down
yeah.
or whatever.
I think it's kind of like, and this isn't a great analogy, but how we talked about the economic principle, I still can't think of what it's called, where you choose the wrong line and you stay in that line, even though you realize it's the wrong line. Why at no point was anyone like, okay, we've only built 3 floors of this and it's just not looking great.
Yeah. Let's just start a
maybe
new
we
tower.
should start over. We know the soil here isn't great, so let's just start somewhere new.
Yeah.
Why were they like, well, we've made 3 levels already. We must continue.
It sounded like
this.
it was a jack of all trades that made this, or some handyman. Just
he was watching a DIY video.
Yep. He had his own show. Maybe that would be interesting. So
Architecture for dummies.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
well,
then.
I hope you all have a great weekend. We would love to know, do you like this kind of format? Do you like learning new things? If you don't, why are you listening to our podcast?
Yeah. Are there any interesting facts or any interesting things that happened this week in history that we missed? Or were you particularly interested in any of these items?
Or going forward, because if we do this regularly, if you know of events like next week, next month, whatever, that you would like us to talk about on here that you think are fascinating, send them in.
Yeah, we'll actually have time to do research on this stuff, and that'd be pretty cool.
For sure.
Okay.
So that's it. Let us know how you're feeling. Have a great weekend.
All right. Well, go ahead and play us out, Samantha. Hum us out.
Wait, which one? What? Now I don't remember how I did it. How did I do it?
I don't know.
Oh, did you
Just make up.
did you-
Imagine that you have to make up an ending theme, and you have 3 seconds to do it, and go.
Okay, hold on.
This is This Week in History.
This has been the weekend history.
Yeah. Wait. Okay.
What? Why'd you just say, "Oh, wait"?
Somebody just locked or unlocked the door at the rental
Oh.
house. Probably a cat burglar. Why do they say cat burglar? Where's that come from?
I don't know. A cat burglar.
It's like if I'm a cat and I caught a mouse, and another cat takes my mouse,
That's
that would be a cat burglar.
no. That would be a mouse burglar.
No, that would be if I caught a cat and I was a mouse,
Okay.
and another mouse took my cat.
Well, this is now an outtake.
All
So
right.
if there's anything else you wanted to say,
Just get it all out right now.
no, that was
Okay.
it.
I think that's all.